What does it take for an ordinary person to become unforgettable? I was the definition of ordinary. A spreadsheet analyst named Ethan, 29, whose life was as predictable as my morning commute. I wore beige, drank black coffee, and spoke only when spoken to. I was entirely forgettable, and honestly, I was fine with that. My colleague, Sarah, 28, once joked that if I disappeared, no one would notice until payday. It stung, but it was probably true. My boss, Mr. Chen, 55, knew my name, but little else. My world was small, safe, and utterly gray. The shift happened during the annual company retreat, a mandatory, soul-crushing weekend in a remote cabin. It started with a harmless-looking team building exercise near a ravine. That's when I saw it, a flash of red and the frantic waving of a hand. A hiker, entirely separate from our group, had slipped and was barely clinging to a thorny root on the steep slope. Panic seized the group. Everyone froze, pulling out phones to call for help, but we were miles from reception. My heart hammered, but something in my brain went cold and clear. I looked at the sheer panic on their faces. What would you do when the fear of standing out suddenly vanishes because a life is on the line? I wasn't an athlete, I had no training, but I was the lightest, and the only one wearing hiking boots with decent grip. I didn't think, I acted. I grabbed a rope from the emergency kit, tied it around the nearest sturdy tree, and began a slow, terrifying descent. The descent was messy, painful, and stupidly risky. But I reached the hiker, a young man named Jake, 24, who was seconds from letting go. Hauling him back up was pure adrenaline and brute force. When we finally rolled onto the safe ground, bruised and shaking, the air went out of the crowd. They weren't looking at ordinary Ethan anymore. They were looking at me. I had saved a life, not with expertise or power, but with sheer, stubborn human will. The hiker recovered, and I went back to my spreadsheets. But I was never truly ordinary again. That one moment of genuine, necessary action, a choice to be completely present and selflessly brave, turned a lifetime of beige into a memory that no one, not even Mr. Chen, could forget. Do you think a single moment can define a person forever? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe.